Ever since Jaws became a big hit in 1975, there have been numerous films that tried to follow in its footsteps, and some of them weren't that successful. But there was this one film that came out 3 years after Jaws, and it's from a fellow named Joe Dante. Before he gave us The Howling or Gremlins, he gave us this. And this has a lot of fish in it. Man-eating fish, that is. Here's my review of the original Piranha.
BD's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews.
So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Dual, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1978 comedy horror flick Piranha, released by New World in the US and by United Artists internationally. Directed by Joe Dante, and who also co-edited the film from a screenplay by John Sayles based on Richard Robinson and Sayles' story. Starring Bradford Dillman, Heather Menzies, Kevin McCarthy, Keenan Wynn, Barbara Steele, and Dick Miller. The film tells the story of a river being infested by lethal, genetically altered piranhas, threatening the lives of the local inhabitants and the visitors to a nearby summer resort. Yeah, Jaws vibes, anyone? Yeah. The film was released on August 3rd, 1978, a few days after it made its premiere in Detroit. The film eventually did pretty well in YW and got good reviews, and since then has become a cult film. Now, of course, this was actually released the same year Jaws 2 was, as a matter of fact. Universal had considered obtaining an injunction to prevent this film being released, particularly as they had released Jaws 2 the same summer. But the lawsuit was dropped after Spielberg himself gave the film a positive comment in advance. Steven Spielberg is who I'm talking about. You knew that already. And this film was executive produced by Roger Corman. Now, we start out as two teenagers find an abandoned military compound and skinny dip in a holding pool, but are attacked and killed by unseen creatures. Sometime later, determined yet absent-minded skip tracer Maggie McKeon is dispatched to find the missing teenagers near Lost River Lake and hires a surly backwoods drunkard, Paul Grogan, to guide her. They discover the compound and find bizarre jarred specimens and evidence of an occupant inside. Locating a drainage switch from the nearby pool, Maggie empties it to search the bomb, but a haggard man enters and tries to stop her until Paul subdues him. The pair finds a skeleton in the pool's filtration trap and learn it was filled with salt water. The man awakens and steals their jeep, but crashes due to being disoriented and is taken to Paul's home. The next day, as the three travel downriver, the stranger tells the pair that the pool was filled with a school of piranha and Maggie released them into the river. She and Paul are skeptical until they come across the corpse of Paul's friend Jack. The stranger reveals himself as Dr. Robert Hoke, lead scientist of a defunct Vietnam War project called Operation Razor Teeth, which involved genetically engineering a ravenous and prejudiced strain of piranhas that could endure the North Vietnamese river's cold waters and inhibit Viet Cong movement. The project was cancelled after the war ended, but the mutant specimens survived, and Hoke tended them to them to salvage his work. Paul realizes that if the local dam is open, the piranhas will gain access to the Lost River Resort and the nearby summer camp. On their way, the trio rescue a boy whose father was killed by the piranhas, but the mutants kill Hoke before he can reveal how it killed him, and the survivors narrowly make it to shore. Grogan successfully stops the dam attendant from opening the spillway before calling the military. A military team led by Colonel Waxman and former Razor Teeth scientist Dr. Mingers spread poison upstream, ignoring protests that the piranhas survived the first attempt. When Paul discovers a tributary that bypasses the dam, Waxman and Mingers quarantine him and Maggie to prevent them from alerting the media. The pair escapes, but Waxman alerts law enforcement to capture them while the piranhas attack the summer camp, injuring the children and killing a camp counselor named Betsy. Now for the final act and ending. You know the procedure. You got 5 seconds to stop this video right now. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below as I count down now. If you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Waxman and Mingers arrive at the resort to intercept Paul and Maggie, but the piranhas attack and kill many vacationers, and Waxman, intending to prevent the piranha from reaching the ocean and spreading worldwide. Paul and Maggie commandeer a speedboat and rush to a shuttered smelting plant, hoping to use its industrial waste to kill the mutants. They arrive at the plant before the piranhas, but the control office is submerged, forcing Paul to go underwater with a safety line. Despite being attacked by the piranhas, he opens the valves and Maggie pulls him to safety. The pair returns to the resort where Paul enters a catatonic state. During a televised interview, Menger spins an altered version of events and downplays the piranha's existence in the story. So, what did I think of Piranha, the original? I will say I actually like it. It's a pretty good film. It has lots of humorous moments and what have you, but and it itself has great characters and good stars who play them and what have you. Anyway, yes, the film grossed 14 million in the foreign box office outside the U.S. and Canada, but overall that it has done well here when it got bigger in the US. But that's hard to explain. Anyway, it received mixed reviews at the time of its release, as Roger Ebert mocked the really bad special effects and the odd compulsion of the characters to jump into the water the very moment they discover it is infested by piranhas. Variety wrote that the film was not without its exciting moments and noted that the in jokes for film buffs add another dimension to a routine pot boiler. Gene Siskel wasn't thrilled in his review of in the Chicago Tribune, as he particularly objected to the use of women and children as frequent targets of the attacks. Charles Champlin for the LA Times called it a swift, efficient program picture which squeezes the most out of its dollars to squeeze delicious chills from the audience. The monthly film bulletins Jill Forbes called the film a quickie from the Corman Company that can't decide where to plump for horror, sci-fi, or social comedy and play safe with something for everyone, and found it a lot of fun. Marjorie Bilbo for Screen International wrote that the film works as spirited scream and giggle nonsense because there is always something happening, and Joe Dante directs with a slyly tongue-in-cheek awareness of the existence of Big Brother Jaws. Yes, this was one of the early attempts for Joe Dante, who later went on to direct the werewolf film The Howling, and then of course another film Spielberg worked on, favorite of mine, Gremlins. Still, the film has acquired since then a cult status. Rotten Tomatoes has that score 72%, saying performed with a wink and directed with wry self awareness. The film is an unabashed B movie with satirical bites, and I couldn't agree more. And of course, Steven Spielberg called the film the best of the Jaws ripoffs. That's understandable too, definitely. Anywho, I found this film to be a real fun one. Its score was done by Pino Donaggio, who also would later go on to do the score for The Howling. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, it did get followed by a sequel, Piranha 2: The Spine, 4 years later, which was directed by James Cameron in his feature directorial debut, which unfortunately that I haven't seen. There will be two remakes. That was in 1995 and it premiered on Showtime. And I've seen it one time. Then another in 2010, which I'll be reviewing tomorrow in the next vid, and which had its own sequel 2 years later, which I will also be reviewing. Overall, I found the story, though, not too bad. I will say this is a pretty good Jaws ripoff. Now, I've only seen a few of them, not too many, though. Now, for our cast, we have Bradford Dillman playing Paul Grogan. He's been in numerous films and TV shows. Not to me. I'm afraid this is one I'm not quite too familiar with. Well, I actually take that back. That same year, he had recently done the another B movie, and that was Irwin Allen's The Swarm. Playing Maggie McKeown is Heather Menzies, whom you would probably know her as Louisa Von Trapp from The Sound of Music and as Jessica Six on the Logan's Run TV series, which had just been canceled that same year. I love the scene where she distracts the guard by flashing her. Yeah, I'm a little say, but you know what I'm saying. Kevin McCarthy, I know that is. I mostly would remember him from the Weird Al film UHF. He was on Square One TV's MathNet at one time. He's been in The Howling as well. He played Dr. Hoke, and I'll say he's good. Keenan Wynn, he played Jack. I know him from several things. Dick Miller, who also would appear in The Howling and Gremlins as well, plus Chopping Mall, several other B movies as Buck Gardner. Pretty good. Barbara Steele as Dr. Mingers. Good. Belinda Belaski as Betsy. Not too bad. Let's see. Paul Bartel, another B movie actor who's also been in several B movies. He played the character Demont. Um, Actually, John Sayles himself, the writer of the screenplay, appears as the character Sentry. So anyway, this film has a pretty good set of a cast of characters and a great cast to play them. Well, I'm getting a little tongue tied here. You get what I'm saying. But Piranha, the original, I think is absolutely superb. I think this is the best Jaws ripoff, as Spielberg said. I couldn't agree more with him. So with everything said, Piranha from 1978, good film, a good story, good direction, great cast, great characters, and not too bad of a score either. I gotta say, it's a great B movie. But would I recommend it? I'd say hell yeah, go for it. This film's pretty easy to find. It has been released on physical media at times. The most recently it was released by Shout Factory in 2010 on DVD and Blu-ray. In 2015, the film screened in an R-rated Ultimate Edition presented by Fangoria Magazine, with a few special guests that included actress Belinda Belaski, which that's pretty cool. The film's also available to stream on numerous sites like Tubi, Prime Video, and plus a lot of others. Look it up. You will have no trouble finding that. I'll think about reviewing the 1995 remake sometime down the road. If I do happen to find Piranha 2 sometime, however, I'll certainly review it down the road. But anyway, what did you think of the original Piranha? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. You know the rest. Try and help me get to 1,000 views. I'm slipping now again. I don't want that to happen. Get just, I'm not trying to encourage you, but I'm saying please help me out. Join me next time when I review Piranha 2010 for its 15th anniversary. So if you like this, check out my reviews for some of these other films. In the upper left-hand corner is my re-review of Jaws from 1975. The upper right-hand corner is my review of The Swarm from 1978, the same year this came out. Or if you would like another film that might be a little worry, you can check out my review of The Abyss in the bottom left hand corner. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.